Hello, partners, customers, and all fans of technology trends. It's your old pal and host of the Akamai Channel Champions podcast, Watkins. And today we have a fantastic conversation lined up with Matt Richards, Chief Operating Officer over at Aqua Security. Now, Aqua is an absolute powerhouse when it comes to cloud native application protection, or CNAP for short, and they are a vital strategic partner for us here at Akamai. Right now, our two companies are teaming up to tackle one of the most exciting yet complex challenges in tech today: securing AI in the enterprise. Matt is joining us to break down how this partnership is coming together, what it means for the channel, and how we are jointly empowering customers to build and run their cloud native applications securely. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thrilled to be here.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to our chat today. Now, enterprises are rushing to adopt generative AI often faster than their security teams can secure them. From the CISO conversations you're having globally, how has the threat landscape shifted in the last year, and how big of a threat is shadow AI to the enterprise right now?
First, the landscape is accelerated dramatically in its use of AI. The pace at which code is being developed and applications are being developed and then deployed into production is up and up and up. And at the same time, the pace at which those same applications find themselves under attack by, you guessed it, AI, is also going up and up and up. And so what we've got right now is a process and a set of, I'll call them legacy approaches, which are good hygiene, right? But they're not able to keep up with the state of the world these days. They're too slow.
Right.
And so in that world, we have got to figure out a way to get faster ourselves, put a little bit of brain power out into the organization to protect those workloads and prepare for this accelerated future that is AI applications in production.
It's such a fun dichotomy. It's both our greatest threat and our greatest weapon.
Well, I've seen the movies too.
Yeah, right? All right. Now, Aqua Security is recognized in CNAP. As organizations build custom AI models and applications, they are introducing massive new software supply chain risks. How does Aqua's approach to cloud native security translate to securing the AI software lifecycle?
Cloud native application protection. Okay, this is cloud native. That usually means containers. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to build workloads and deploy them quickly in containers. And we talk about shift left and shift right, pre-production, post-production. Like pre-production, this is scanning and prevention to keep bad stuff out of production. And then you got the runtime protection in production. And that combination of shift left and shift right is part of what makes us unique, but it's really all around the runtime security. And we are focused predominantly on helping make sure that that is secure no matter what. And in this new hyper accelerated AI application development and attack world, you really need to stop pretending that you're not vulnerable in production. Assume you are, and then someone's going to find it. And then you need to be protected in real time in production. You point Claude at Firefox and find 500 vulnerabilities. Yeah, okay, I know it's not a hosted container, but it's been out there for ages and humans didn't see any of it. So we are in a hyper accelerated world of development just on the cusp.
Well, it's not just a security message too, it's a efficiency message as well, right? I mean, thinking if you can catch these flaws before things go into production, like that is a huge value add as well. And so I think thinking through it that way as well, I think is also a benefit to at least to the partners listening.
Right. And when we think about it, yes, you want to keep it from production. And that's actually the whole 10 times more expensive at every step.
Yeah.
I think I've been using that since 1998. I mean, that whole 10 times more expensive. But however, in this new world, how are we going to catch it? AI can scan itself. You got third-party repositories. You got open source software. You're going to assemble that. AI is actually going to do the assembly. And then you're going to push it into production. So how are you going to make sure that you catch it all? And the truth is you're not going to be able to. And then that's why that runtime production in production is so critical.
Huge. All right. Now, we somewhat recently announced our partnership, specifically highlighting our joint strength in securing AI in the enterprise. Can you pull back the curtain for us? Why Akamai? Why now? And what is the overarching vision for this strategic alliance?
Well, I like to think about solving this problem holistically. And that's where this alliance makes a ton of sense. Solving the AI problem holistically means to me, there's the outside problem, which is, have you used ChatGPT at work? I don't know your security policies. I swear I won't hold it against you. I have. And now we have a corporate license, but there's also various models we try all the time. And that is going to head across the firewall and out across the internet and come back. That's one risk. Disclosure of information, leaking of secrets, all sorts of bad actions that need to be caught at the edge. And then there's also catching it, as we talked about, in real time in production. And pretty much everybody that's deploying AI as a workload is deploying it in a container. Container is exactly what is the basis of cloud native. Cloud native is CNAP. So the connection here, and the reason this partnership works so well, is you guys are great at scaling edge. This is edge protection for AI security. It's the firewall for AI,
right,
on the one hand. And we scale for container-based inside security. to get the inside and outside security together. And that's what got us started talking about
Can you put that on a t-shirt?
partnership.
We'll talk about some joint
Inside
marketing
out and
opportunities.
outside in?
Inside
Sounds
in?
good.
I like it. Now, our partner audience thrives on a stronger, better together story. So how does Aqua's deep visibility into cloud native workloads complement Akamai's edge, cloud, and security infrastructure? And what might that combined stack look like for a joint customer?
So what you'd do is you'd have the firewall for AI at the edge, and you'd have Aqua running in each of the containers,
Yeah.
and they're essentially talking to each other. See, it turns out that a container is a really great place to put a sensor, to put an agent that can understand and recognize a workload as an AI model or as talking to an AI model, because everything in the container passes in and out of the kernel of the system, and that allows us, because we sit there, we can read the kernel trace, we know exactly what's going on, and that gives us a really deep inside view of what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the outside view, right? When we see and notice something, the outside view, of course, is transitioning across the firewall to go outside the company. The combination is when Aqua asks the firewall for AI policy engine, for lack of a better word, right? You can or can't talk to this model. You can or can't. And when you're asking it with a prompt and you're doing a prompt evaluation, getting a response, Aqua has leveraged the firewall for AI to do the prompt analysis and respond. So that combination of internal view of what's going on in the workload and the external prompt policy management is excellent. And the other piece here that's interesting is that firewall for AI already has the policy engine built in. That's part of what's the base. So as a customer, I love this because I now have one solution where I might have had two. Right? I might have needed an internal policy engine, an external. Now I just have one policy engine managed. So that combination helps tremendously. Simplify.
Exactly. That's all we're trying to do here. Now, as Chief Operating Officer, driving channel success is a massive part of our mandate here at Akamai. I'm sure you guys have it as well. But for the partners tuning in, where is that lowest hanging fruit? What are the immediate joint selling opportunities this partnership unlocks?
One of the big problems that we talk about in AI is shadow AI. And so listen for the cues. I mean, that's always from a partner perspective, is listening for the cues of a customer talking about a problem or a situation, obviously. And when they start talking about AI, I'm investigating AI, I'm using AI, I don't know who is using AI, or it's going to be some combination of that plus a few others.
Yeah.
And when you get those questions, it's a great opportunity to step in and say, well, have you thought about how you're going to secure AI? Because AI is everywhere, but security not so much.
Right.
I don't know about you, but in my observation, many years in this industry, innovation is lagged by security. Innovation first, security second, afterthought. And this is because the container ecosystem, the cloud native ecosystem, has a good, strong set of solutions for securing the container. We can ensure that we think ahead of time about the security needs, because AI is going to be deployed in containers. Containers already have a security solution. Voila. So looking for that opportunity, looking for the discussion with the customers about where they're trying to go, thinking about a security strategy. And that's a good clue to start having the conversation.
I mean, it's cliched, but it's the consultative selling approach, right? Like, I mean, that's really where the value gets unlocked. Now, we have a varied audience. We've got resellers, we've got integrators, we've got technology partners who listen to the show. And so for the integrators out in the audience, I'm curious, they don't just want to resell licenses. They want to build profitable services around the things that they sell, right? So where do you see the biggest gap in customer knowledge regarding AI security? And what kinds of professional or managed services should Akamai partners be building around the Akamai offering?
I think there's a great transformation story here. I don't know about you, but at least in my business, I'm constantly looking for AI operationalization opportunities, which is not just I'm going to use a chatbot and get a response. It's how do I make sure that I don't actually have to copy and paste from one window to another to use AI. I'm looking for operational capabilities and considerations. And then inside those operational capabilities, they're going to be running where? In containers.
Yep.
And so looking for that opportunity to be a transformation, a trusted partner, a transformation partner, value selling here on helping them work through this transformation, because we're all going to go through it at some point. But that's a great set of services to put on top. And then the ongoing, sometimes you can develop a managed service practice around it,
Right.
which allows you to not only help them transform, but then take over management of some of those same workloads over time. It depends on the nature of the systems integrator or the nature of the partnership that you have, of course.
Right. And when partners are pitching AI security to clients, who is the actual buyer? Is it still the traditional CISO, or are partners needing to win over AI data science teams and chief AI officers? How do they navigate kind of finding that evolving buyer?
Yeah, this one's a little challenging because as a new industry, you don't have one well-defined role. There's no chief compliance officer.
Right.
Where you're going to go sell compliance things to. In this case, the AI officer or the leader of an AI project, right? You're going to find the person who's tapped with figuring out the AI project And that's going to be, sometimes it's a chief, sometimes it's a director. It's hard to say. And they have different backgrounds. They might come from security, they might come from systems architecture, they might come from development. It's hard to know, but you're going to find somebody who's tasked with figuring this AI thing out for the business. And they're going to be looking for requirements, opportunities, use cases, technologies, and they're going to go look for that shadow AI, which of course is where the solution comes in really handy, because we can find it inside the containers, and of course Akamai can find it at the edge. And so together, as a partnership, we can help you unlock and figure out where that shadow AI is.
Well, it's funny. Like I came from the API security side of Akamai's business, and so that question was presented to me constantly. Of like, am I just pitching to the CISO? And I'm like, there are like 5 different people that are all involved in API security in some way, from your AppSec to your DevSec team. So
Absolutely.
different messages, different will resonate differently with different audiences. But
100%. And what I found about rules to selling is that for almost every rule, there's the counter, the exception that breaks the rule.
yeah,
So that's stay fluid. And the best thing you can do is listen more than you talk.
right. It's like movie making. They say save the cat, don't save the cat. You're just constantly
Oh yeah.
you got to know the conventions to break it, right?
Well, where's the cat?
Yeah, where's the cat?
So you know the state of the cat and where the cat is at any given time.
All right. Now, when your top performing channel partners are out in the field pitching CNAP and AI security, what is the number one customer objection or misconception they face? And what is that silver bullet response you advise them to use?
When we're talking our world, which is CNAP, plus of course the Akamai partnership, the CNAP element of it is, hey, why? What does container security have to do with AI? And the truth is, most of those workloads that are being deployed are being deployed in containers. So containers equal AI. And so one of the biggest objections is, well, what does that have to do with it? I don't understand. And the answer is, well, it's core. And you can spend just a couple minutes and say, look, the container, which I'm sure you're using, almost everybody's deploying and developing in containers these days. That container is an excellent locus for understanding what's going on. I can discover containers, I can set policies, I can enforce policies, I can get all of that in that container. That's a tremendous value for those partners as they start looking for building relationships and figuring out how to deploy.
Now, with things like the EU AI Act and various executive orders globally, the regulatory environment around AI is tightening. How can Akamai partners leverage these compliance mandates as a catalyst to initiate security conversations with their clients using Aqua as the solution?
Compliance is often a little behind the technology. Go figure. And I think what we're finding is that the regulations have been built for development speed and capability of yesterday, and that's going to have to change. However, we're living today, so you can start having the conversation about how to prepare folks for what is inevitably going to come, because it will inevitably evolve. The regulations today, though, highly regulated industries, there are rules about positive control over production deployment. So you have to know what's going on. You have to have compensating controls for what's going on, various different wording and different regulations. But we are, one of our special sauces is compensating controls at runtime for highly regulated industries and highly regulated applications. So we absolutely, it's a tremendous opportunity to use regulation in the conversation when discussing AI. And then, of course, how Aqua can help you secure that. Because we have lots of examples where we've done that.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter if you're talking about like cloud, APIs, network, like visibility is going to be one of those ones that is going to constantly pop up. And I think
Absolutely.
that's one of the shared values that we have as well. I think that helping them have that visibility, especially if an audit were to come up or anything like that. So
finding the shadow AI.
All right. So now looking over the next 12 to 18 months, what is one major shift you anticipate now enterprises will build or secure AI applications? And what is the one thing Akamai partners should start doing today to ensure they capture that future demand?
Right now, okay, not now, 5 years ago, the last 5 years, right? Development was working in a certain way. Okay, developers were assembling code more than maybe coding it, but there was still time on keyboard assembling that code and testing it. Tomorrow, we're going to wake up and a developer is not going to be a developer as we think about it anymore. They're going to be a manager of AI models. They're going to use a planning model. And the tools are going to be set up into like planning and deployment, and they're going to be set up into testing. We're going to have an entirely new tool set and an entirely new set of AI agents that a developer is going to be managing. So the idea of creating novel code, it'll happen, but more often than not, it's actually going to be the models doing the work and the humans guiding them with, here's the plan, here's the strategy, here's how I want you to go about doing it, here's the architectural design, here are the other things you need to integrate with, the other APIs, and ready, go. And then it's going to step through. So you're going to be managing 4 or 5 models rather than coding. And that's a massive change.
It's huge.
huge. And speed of development, speed of deployment, it's a huge change. Game changer for all of us. And honestly, I mess around on the weekends with this stuff. So I can tell you, I don't have to know a lot about Python, for example. Simple, basic language to be deploying Python applications.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I want to thank you so much for the conversation. This has been a great interview to all of our partners out there. Thank you for joining us for the Akamai Channel Champions podcast. Make sure to check out Aqua Security's website, where we actually had recently a very great webinar talking about building the framework essentially for doing a lot of the things that we discussed today. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you very much.